is Manish Gupta, and I work as a CFO with a large hotel company here. I say large, why? Because we have about 14 hotels in the group. We are taking care of the management, and we own the hotels as well. So I've been working in finance for since 2005 as a after I pass out as a chartered accountant from Delhi, and I've been working in Thailand and Philippines, and in here Yangon now as a CFO for quite some time. And my passion is about teaching. So I have been consulting a few startups here on the business model, financial modeling, and also the consulting them on the growth, marketing, and my company myself. We have been doing the budgets, financial planning, business planning. So this class specifically I designed as an interactive class. So there are not many PowerPoint presentations. It's gonna be more as a discussion. So we will be doing the discussions when we need it. So I will ask you guys to unmute yourself and participate in the discussion. For that rest of the time, I would appreciate if you keep yourself mute so that everybody has a better listening, better understanding of the course. I am not sure if you can see this thumb screen or the raise hand on your own screens. If you can, you can raise your hand, and or you can put your questions in the chat box, so that whenever we are doing whenever I'm doing the discussion part, I can look at the questions and I can answer you guys. But participation is very important. So if I just only keep on saying the things, you may not like it, or you may not enjoy that. But if I say things and then ask you to participate, and you participate, and then you will be understanding it much more, and you're gonna learn more, right? So yeah, let me share the other part of my screen. So here I am. I have explained, and I also am founder of the Hotel Management School and Excel Finance Academy to help learn new students. You can follow my YouTube channel or FB Facebook group or LinkedIn channel with the same name, Hotel Management School. If you search me by Hotel Management School, you will see my pages there. I'm also on the Instagram, and I just launched my podcast as well on sharing this experiences. So I will be doing this. I will be most likely putting the audio of this class also on the podcast, so everybody can learn and listen. So what you will be helping to take this, what you will take home after this boot camp. So this boot camp is gonna run for 5 days. I have designed it for 5 days, today until Sunday, same time, for about 1.5 to 2 hours. So after this, you will be able to project your business revenue, expenses, using your research data and logics. You will have a better clarity on how we model the business, how do we do the pricing, the expenses, and why we are seeing a growth and what growth is reasonable. And then you will be able to talk to your investors and ask any questions which they have. If you are starting your business, you will be able to have a better understanding before you start the business. You will be, if you are running the business already, you will be able to make the decisions with the complete information. So if you are coming here to learn Excel tricks, then that's not the right class. I'm sorry to say, because the class here is more on financial modeling and business logics. So I will not be teaching too many Excel formulas or formatting. You can learn that by yourself. I will be teaching you mostly the logics, how we make the decisions and how we model them into Excel. So financial modeling essentially is a combination of both knowledge, business, and also the Excel, and how we create the formulas, and so there will be some bit of financial Excel knowledge as well. So if you don't have Excel knowledge, don't worry about that. And then we will be also evaluating the cost and benefit of all the choices that we have. So that is the financial modeling part of it. And then I will be giving you a PDF book at the end, and then you will be able to get the templates that we're going to be working on. I will be working on the templates on Google, on the Excel, and I will upload them later on to the Google Classroom. So if you have not joined the classroom yet, you can join that, so that you will be able to download the templates that we're going to be using in this class. Right. So let me starting with the business. So normally I use this analogy quite a lot. I see business as a tree, and where the business model itself is the root of the business. So every business has a business model, even though it may not be written on a paper, but you have in your mind. So people have in their mind when the startup is doing. So what kind of pricing am I going to do, what kind of customers we going to target, what are my pricing decisions, what are my channels of distribution. So if the business has thought about it properly, it's going to be a successful business. If the business has not thought about this at the start of the business, there are high chances that it may not be a successful business itself. So so we are going to be learning today about the business modeling a bit, and then we'll be see how we translate these into pricing and costing decisions. So financial modeling helps in pricing and costing decisions, helps in capital budgeting and investing decisions. It also helps in making operational spending. It also helps in performance reporting, financial planning and forecasting. So these are the components of business, right? So in the business, you are making pricing decisions, you are making capital budgeting decisions, you are making an operational spending, how many manpower I need to have, do I outsource, do I lease, do I make by myself or get it outsourced, do I buy a new product, or buy, if let's say your machinery is running, do I repair this machine, or I need to buy a new one. What is gonna be my 5-year plan, how much business I'm gonna looking at, what should be my marketing spend. So all of this are required to be taken in the business. Apart from starting the business, when you have to do the business modeling, these are your regular running decisions which every business has to take on a regular basis. You have to take pricing decisions, capital budgeting, operational spending, performance, and then after taking all these decisions, what is the outcome is the value that you are creating out of the business. So it's going to be shareholders return, it's going to be money, it's going to be the social impact that you are. So some of the businesses are working on social impact, some of the businesses are working on shareholders wealth, some of the businesses are working on improving the both society value and also the shareholders return. So we take a lot of these decisions, and financial modeling in particular help in all these decisions. So we're going to be looking at each of them over a course of these 5 days. So I urge you to stay with me, and because you are spending your time today, so if you drop out after 2 days, 3 days, it may not be a good thing. But I will be recording these sessions and I will be uploading on my channels later on. It will be available as for a lifetime access for a very small fees. So you will be able to take that. Right. So financial modeling, what is it and what are the objectives? As we seen in the business model, business as a tree, we have to make pricing and costing decisions. We have to decide the cost, the price. Based on cost, we have to decide the scenario planning, at what price, what will be the demand, so which price we should be choosing. Because if you, let's say you are going to charge something 10 rupee or $10 for something, the demand number of people who will buy at this price point will be different from when you want to charge $15 or $20, correct? So and it will impact your operational planning, it will impact your ROI, it will impact your profitability. So financial modeling helps you to do a scenario planning based on different price points, different demand levels, and based on that you can judge which price point is better for you, right? Because If you don't decide the price points in the early in the business, it will be very difficult for you guys to change it later on. So you have to have a complete understanding of the price and the value that you are giving to the to your customers, looking at the competition and everything else. So we're going to be learning more how we decide the prices. Then as we said, you're gonna do the capital budgeting decisions. So capital budgeting decisions includes your buy or rent equipment. So you want to buy the equipment, or if the equipment is available on lease, for example cars, for example lease, for example buildings, you wanna rent it or you want to buy it. So it depends on the time you are going to use this equipment, the life cycle, and other benefits. So we will be looking at few examples how we make those decisions. We're going to be looking at the repair or buy new decisions. This is a usual decision that we have to take. Let's say even in personal lives, you have to take a decision whether I continue to repair my car after 10 years, or I need to, it's a time to buy a new one, right? So usually you make a decision by looking at a history of how many times it has been repaired, what are the cost of not repair of not having a new car standby. So we're gonna be looking at what are the matrices that we use to make the decisions, and capacity. So how big should be the equipment, how big factory should I run, how much should be my capacity of each machinery that I'm gonna buy. Even as simple as the coffee machine for a restaurant cafe, you can think that okay, how big it should be. If there are different type of machines which you can buy at different prices, capacity is entirely different for those machines. So how much capacity I need to have based on your demand, based on the price point, based on the uh, the the labor it will save. It gonna be fully automatic, semi-automatic, manual machines. So there's a lot of ifs and buts, and there are a lot of things that you have to make while you are deciding. Then you have your operational decisions, right? Operational decision means you want to do it by yourself or you want to do it outsourced. There is, you can, today in particular times, you can outsource pretty much everything, right? Digital marketing, sales and marketing, accounting, HR, finance, everything you can do outsourcing. Even your operations, right? Factories, nowadays people are operating the even delivery business you can outsource. So what is better, you do it by yourself, you have your own equipment, you have your own peoples and you do it, or you want to outsource it for a share of income. So right, it depends on what is the level of business. So we're gonna be looking at the models, how we make those decisions. Then fixed versus variable cost commitments, and also how we make the marketing budgets, operational budgets, which level of operations is better for us. Then you are making forecasting projections. Three statements usually calls for balance sheet, profit and loss, and cash statement. We're gonna be looking at that also. We will be building together a balance sheet, so it's a bit of accounting class as well together. And we will be doing a scenario managing. Okay, at what level, what if we are doing different businesses, which way we can improve our return on the wealth, and the discounted cash flows, valuations, and calculating the capital budgeting decisions, that this investment that we are making, we are getting enough ROI or not, right? So that's what is the financial modeling. So how we do the financial modeling? Very first thing, when you are starting the financial modeling, like now we are thinking. So before we do that, I want to initiate a case study. So we're gonna be looking at a business of, let's say, a cafe, right? So we will be doing everything for that cafe business. Why cafe business? Because cafe business is you are doing trading, you are doing the growth, you are doing the manufacturing kind of things. So it will involve quite a lot of things, service industry as well as the manufacturing industry. So it will be easier for you to understand and relate, because a day-to-day business, everybody goes to cafe for having coffee, juice or fruit juice, right? So we're gonna be thinking cafe business as a case study. So now, how do we start financial modeling? Where do I start? Do I start making a template for profit and loss balance sheet immediately, or how do I start? So when we are doing a financial modeling, we always start with the end in mind. So we were always thinking that what is the end that we want to achieve, what is the result that we want to achieve in the financial modeling, right? If we are making a decision, let's say on rent and buy, so what are my decision criteria? What is the decision I want to reach? I want to reach that, okay, let's, for example, I want to reach the decision that I want to choose between two options. Either I want to rent the equipment or want to buy the equipment, and the decision will be based on wherever my cost is lowest, per year cost or initial investment is lowest, right? So if you have this end in your mind, you will be finally seeing that, okay, this is the end result I want in my business. Then you will be filling up the details later on, a little bit by little bit, and finding out how you are going to reach that decision. So first thing is, we start with end in my mind, so that it's easier to is clearer what steps do we need to take in order to arrive at the solution that we want. So we have solution first in our mind, and then we create the model, right? And then how this model is going, you have to figure out how this model is going to answer the fundamental questions about your business, and why are you making this model. You need to list out all the questions that you need to answer in this particular model. For example, what is my spending, what is my annual cost, what is my tax saving, what is the impact on the sensitivity to have the equipment in my hands. What if the supplier takes the equipment in the middle of the lease term? What is the impact on my business? So usually you take those decisions because it's affect long-term thinking for your business, right? So you don't want to have uncertainty in your business. And then order them in the priority. What is the most important aspect of your business? And then you build your model based on that particular list, right? So we're going to be looking at a few examples now. So first thing is, to summarize, what you have to think about the business, what you are doing. The financial modeling involves a lot of research. So you have to think about the business that you are going to do. So what are the impact? What are the key criteria for making a decision? You have to find out what the customers are saying, what are the competition in the market, what is the prices, because whenever you are making a decision, you have to not only think from your business perspective, you also have to think from customer perspective and also from the competition perspective, right? And then write down all the aspects or which you see that they are worth analyzing, right? Competition, customer surveys, industry benchmarks, how the other political conditions are affecting your business, what the customers are saying about you, what are the key factors in your business. And then you make some educated assumptions. For example, if you are going to do, let's say, 3-year forecast from now, right? So you need to understand what is the current economic growth in the country, in the city that you are working on, what will be the next growth factors, what kind of new opportunities are coming in which will affect your business, what kind of competition is coming in your business. So you have to make all those decisions. So it's going to be a structured approach, so we're going to be learning that also in a step by step. So first thing is, in the business is, you have, well, let's say now we are doing the financial modeling for our cafe business, right? So what we need to do for our cafe business, what do we want to know? We want to make the pricing decisions, we want to make the location where our cafe will be, where we want to know what is going into our product, how the product is going to be made, what will be our main products. Are we going to serve only coffee? Are we going to serve the juices? Are we going to serve the breads? Are we going to serve the food? So what are the products and what goes into the product? What is our value proposition, correct? So let's assume we are only making juices. We are going to make fresh fruit juice. That's it. We are not going to do anything else. Let's focus on one product first. So what does goes into the juice? Do we are we making with the fresh fruits? How much is the gonna be size of the fresh? Will it be in the packaging, or we gonna serve in the glasses? So you have to think of all those things. Now how do you make those decisions? You are now gonna analyze the customers around and then ask them what they prefer. Do they prefer fresh? Do they prefer with the sweet? Do they prefer with the plastic straw or with the paper straw? Or the environment is, you need to see what is the plastic, the paper cup, or you're gonna serve in the glass, right, in the glass cup. So you have to understand those things. And then how are you going to make the product? Do you gonna have a manual juicer? You're gonna have an automatic juicer? You're gonna have a semi-automatic one where you peel by yourself? You're gonna have peelers? How many people you're gonna hire? So you have to come up with those decisions in your mind before even you start doing the financial modeling. Then how will you deliver the product? You're gonna have a sitting restaurant, or you're gonna have a takeaway only? And then how many customers you think you will buy? So it depends on the location, correct? So you may have to make a decision on the location that you're gonna be choosing. What price you think you would charge for it? Then you have to look at the customer, look at the cost, look at the competition, if there is any competition. So these are the decisions that we gonna look at now. So it's you can organize these decisions into something called business model canvas. So I will show you what is business model canvas here. uh, yeah, so here is an example of a business model canvas. So business model canvas basically is a canvas is a one-page document which is gonna define what is the problem that you're gonna solve. Basically, starts the number here sits in the priority. So what needs to be decided first? So what we are deciding first is what is our customer segment. So what are the customers that we're gonna serve? Is it gonna be the students, or gonna be working peoples? Where is our mall going to be, right? The shop is gonna be in the mall, is gonna be in the street, is going to be in the residential complex. So we can make those decisions on where we want to open up our first shop. We're gonna be open in a university, we're gonna be open in the mall, residential complex, or a normal standalone market, right? So there can be 4 possible options depending on what is our customer segment, what is our most of the target customers. So if you are going to use the students, definitely you want to open in a university. So then it will help you to understand the cost model, because cost structure will depend on the other. So cost structure is at the end, right? So if you're gonna open in the university, you're gonna open in the mall, the cost structure is going to be completely different. So the customer segment is very important to know. How many customers are going to join you the first? What are the ideal character of your business customer? Where are they going for their marketing? Where are they going for their entertainment? Where they are going for the information they are looking for? If they are students, you may want to contact them at the university gate, you want to contact them at the notice board, you may want to get into their university groups or Facebook groups, or the movies that they watch, or the Instagram. So it depends on, you have to make a complete profile of your early adopting business, right? The second thing, you want, after this customer, you decided, then what is the unique problem that you actually want to solve, right? So let's say for our juice business, we want to solve, now there is a pandemic, there is a coronavirus, everybody is scared. So we want to serve the juices which are health boosters. So that is our target market is general public, because everybody needs health booster, right? So whoever, especially whoever are older peoples, so it means that we need to open up our juice station in either in a mall or nearby a residential society where most of the population live, where you will find those old age customers, right? Even young age customers will be definitely buying, but you are focusing mostly on the old age customers, because when you are starting a new business, definitely you want to focus on a very niche market where you have a very specific customer base, which you want to serve the problems, for which you want to solve the problems for, and then you will expand slowly into the other markets, other customer segments. That's a very important aspect. Then okay, so now we have finalized the solution, right? So what are the existing alternatives? What do they have at the moment? What are they doing? Can they make this at home? Is there any other supplier who is supplying this? uh, you will be wondering why we are doing this before doing the financial modeling. Financial modeling, we have 5 days to go, but first we need to clear up the infrastructure, the basic, the fundamentals. Then only we will be able to do a successful financial modeling. So what are the alternatives here for our business, right? So you have to find out what are how they are solving the problems now. Are there YouTube channels where they are learning? There are any can they do it by themselves? Are the ingredients available in the market? Are there any ready-made products? Is there any competition, or is there any other cafe who is going to serve them? Is there anybody who is doing a home delivery? So you have to think about this for coming up to the solution, right? So you have to then after that you have to come to the solution part. What is your unique solution? So you can do this unique value proposition and solution at the same time. So you have to find out, okay, what is your solution and what is unique about it. If you do not have the if you have the competition, if you don't have the competition, then your solution would be unique itself in any ways. But if you have competition, or there are any alternatives available to that competition, to your solution, then what is unique about your solution? And just a high level concept would be good enough. And then what is the unfair advantage which your customers will not be able to gain, which your customers cannot gain from you, right? So they maybe have a patented technology, you may have done some research which you have already created a trademark, or you are using some ingredients where you have done the contracting already with the original supplier, so other people are not able to get it. So you need to know that what is your advantage over the others. If you don't have it, you need to create it. After you have identified the solution, unique proposition, and your unfair advantage, how you are going to measure the success, right? So what are the key numbers? Are you going to measure your success by revenue, by number of customers, by the number of juices sold, regular repeat customers? What is the success factor that you want to focus on? So it will help you to finalize the marketing strategies, the operational strategies, the value proposition, everything. Then the second after that is the channels, how you are going to deliver the value, right? So how you are going to tell your customers, how you are going to find your customers, how the customers will find you, what will be the delivery method, in-store delivery, home delivery. If because let's say we are doing the juice station, healthy juice for old age people, maybe home delivery is a much better option because they are not going to travel, right? Then you have to come up with the packaging which is non-spoilage and is environmental friendly, so you have to do a lot of things. Then finally you will come to the revenue stream, how much you are going to make, what is the price you're going to charge. What else? Is there any other way that you can make money? Maybe you want to do a co-branded things, you want to do a sponsorship, you want to ask for NGOs, you can ask for RWAs, you can do a lot of things for revenue generation. And finally the cost structure. The cost structure is the last thing to do, because you have to finalize everything else first and then do the cost structure. So that is the basic structure which you have to understand before doing any financial modeling decision. Now let us turn to a discussion. If you have any questions, now you can ask me. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions if you have. Anybody want to ask anything or want to have contribution or want to say something? Is my speed is okay and I am audible to everybody? Say yes or no in the comment box, please.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So is there anything else that you may want to ask? Any question on the business model? Everybody is clear on the business model canvas? Yeah, this is in Excel. If you have not joined the Google Classroom, if you have joined the Google Classroom, you will be able to access it. If you have not joined the Google Classroom, you will not be able to access it. I will be sending you the templates later on. I mean, this is the template which is available on the internet. You just need to search business model canvas. You will be able to get it. Okay. So if there is no other question, then we will start doing it. And let us start do the canvas. So everybody, if you can open the Excel file, you should open the Excel file, and then so that we can start to do things together. Can you see my screen with the Excel file?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now we have a blank canvas in front of us, right? So we need to make a financial model. So let's start by one. What decision we need to take? So the first decision which you have to take in your cafe business is the location. Where are you going to serve? Or even you can decide what are the customer base you want to charge. So let's make a decision, a very high level assumption, what type of customer market you want to solve. So right, so first is, then we name the sheet. In financial modeling, whenever you are doing, please try to make as clear as possible, so that once you come back to the model again, you are able to understand what did we did. So now we are going to do customer segment selection. Since we are doing the juice station, so what are we going to decide? So we are going to answer the question here. The question we are answering is which customer segment we wanna follow to target. Correct. So now how will you make the decision? So the metrics that we have here is, let me save this file, otherwise I will lose the things. Okay, never mind. I saved it at desktop first. Okay, so how I'm going to select the metric. So what I want to know in this customer segment is, normally when you are going to select the customers, you need to make sure, you need to be the thing is, you need to understand the ability to pay, right? And then the repeat business. So are you going to get the growth prospects? So you want to understand growth prospects, so how often they are going to keep on buying from you. And you will be also looking at the larger the scope of market. So the market size itself, how large is the market size at this point of time. So these are the three main decisions that you will be probably looking at when you are going to choose the customer segment. So how you are going to know, where are you going to get this information? So for this you have to know, okay, what is my target customer? So first we need is target customer. Sorry, let's divide the customers into target segments. These are the possible segments that we can use, correct? So one segment definitely you can see is the peoples who are old peoples, let's say age above 50. Then there may be there may be working professionals definitely who are going to work and who need energy. Then other peoples may be students who are going to university or going to the colleges where they may not have anything. So these are the three. Then you may have housewives. Now and then the rest, correct? So what you want to do is you want to go and take the geographical survey of your location wherever you want to solve this. So and check how many peoples are there, right? So you want to take a total and then use the total. Why we want to do the total? Because we want to check if we have measured everything already or not. So let's say we have taken the survey. So where are you going to find out that information? So you can go to, let's say, the population surveys, right, in the city. So city by city there will be population surveys which you can see for your business. So let's say there are about 200,000 peoples which are above the age of 50. There are maybe 20 lakh people who are working professionals, right? And then there may be students. Let's say there are 5 lakh students, correct? Housewives, maybe let's say there are around 1 lakh housewives, 10 lakh housewives. Then the rest there are, let's say, another 400,000 or 500,000 other type of peoples, maybe the daily wagers, the other segments which are not our market, which are not our target customers. And then this number should tally with the total estimated population in the city or in the in the in the in the location that wherever you are targeting it, right? Then what you want to do is you want to see how much they would be willing to pay, right? Willingness to pay. Oh, sorry, you first, before that you want to know yeah, what is the how many of those peoples will actually buy from you, right? Let's say willingness to buy. Now you have to assume make certain assumptions here, which maybe you have to validate those assumptions. So in the business we will be doing a entrepreneurship bootcamp as well next month or next to next month. We will be doing these decisions in more details. Whenever you are going to select a customer, you also have to do some market validation of your ideas. Let's say when I am saying willingness to pay, if I assume, let's say, 10% of these peoples would be willing to pay for this sub product that I'm going to healthy immunity boosters that I'm going to produce. Maybe working professionals may need more, and even, let's say, even at 5%, their 5% of the working professionals will be willing to pay. Maybe only 2% of the students will be willing to pay or maybe have any ability to pay. Housewives, maybe they are not willing to pay anything because they may be willing to buy because they can make it by themselves, they have enough time. The rest, let's say, nobody is willing to pay because that's not our target market. Now this ratio itself is an assumption. So in financial modeling, the good practice that we normally follow is we highlight what are the assumptions with a color coding. So you can make the assumptions, or you can have a one different sheet for all the assumptions at one place. So let's say you can make a place for assumptions. So now here you are making a place, right? So willingness to buy is an assumption. So you can copy this into another sheet. and make a reference of what are the assumption and how you are going to make that assumption. So as a willingness to pay is a one assumption, right? So you can make a reference that you are using this in customer segment. You can do that later on by yourself in your own sheets. Let's say you are in the sheet name is customer selection, customer selection, customer segment. Then basis of assumption, basis of your assumption that you have done is how you are doing the survey, or you can just say, okay, I have done a survey, right? So short survey. So now you know what kind of assumptions you have made and what kind of assumptions you are going to have. So you need to validate these assumptions by doing a survey in the market. So you may be talking to, let's say, 50 old age people, 100 working professionals, about 50 students, 100 housewives. So you can do a Facebook survey, a Google survey, or phone call survey, whatever, however you want to do. And then you want to validate. If you explain them the product and ask them if they're going to be willing to buy or what are their pain problems, so you have to do that survey. So now let's assume we have done the survey and this is the willingness to buy. So how many, so market size. So now we will be able to understand what is our market size. So we multiply this, and then here is we got our market size. So as you can see, the largest market size we have is working professionals. Now willingness to pay is we have seen. Now ability to pay and repeat purchases. So ability to pay is one thing, and ability to repeat purchase, sorry, first we need to say how many times they will buy in a day or in a month. So repeat purchases. So now let's say, because the old age peoples, their immunity is low, so they're gonna be buying, let's say, one every day, right? So 1 cup every day, so they're gonna be buying 30 cups. Working professionals, they may buy for a week, or they may buy for when they are going to office or something like that. So let's say they are going to buy only 2 times or 3 times or 10 times a month. Then students are going to buy, let's say, only again 5 times or 10 times a month. Housewives may buy you 1 or 2 times only, and then they will do it by themselves, because housewives are very smart. So total scope total scope per portion. So now you have, okay, so you got this, right? So now you are able to get a market size for your number of portions. Now we have ability to pay. So here again, since it's an assumption, so we need to highlight with the same color coding so that we can make the decisions later on. We need to be able to identify these decisions, validate these assumptions. Now, so we need to do that. The things which are not our assumptions, you can and they are you're using any survey or something, you can use one color coding. So you can always make clarity here. So clear color coding, so that you know later on what is my assumption, what is my data that I have taken from other, or you can make a reference here, data collected from state data based on survey, or my wild assumption, whatever you however you are doing it, why you are writing it down, so that later on when you are finalizing your model or you are reviewing it again, at least you know where did you get this particular information. You will always want to fill up the totals, yeah. And then ability to pay. So how much a person with the age of 50, over 50, he will be ready to pay. Usually this is a niche market where you may be able to charge quite good price because you have to deliver it to the home, and then they need more services. So let's say they are able to pay $3 per cup. Working professionals, let's say they may also be willing to pay quite a good because they will also be taking away while they are working. But for working professionals, they have much more higher assumption. If let's say you have competition, so the old age peoples will be less will have a high will be less price elastic if you are able to give them at their doorstep. Working professional will be highly price elastic because they are always on moving, so they may be they may be exploring other options as well. But never mind, let's say we put $3. Students, let's say they have pocket money only, so they may be willing to pay only $2. Housewife also, let's say $2 only, not too much. So the total market size in US dollars is will become, now this is every month we are talking about because we are seeing how many per month is it. So that's your total market size which you have. Let's clear this out so that it's not confusing. Yeah, so your total market size is $5 million in total. So, and by looking at this, only two customer segments that comes in the play. So here you can finally say, okay, these are the selected ones. So the customers, so you can find out, you can make a result at the end of the day and why you made that results, right? So you want to say, okay, since the old age peoples and the working professionals are high biggest market size, you want to focus only on these two markets or one of these markets, because working professionals will be maybe scattered around, and you have to make a decision whether you want to do it near their house or near the commute station or near their office station. For a similar problem for the old age peoples, you have to see where you're going to put the location, or you want to do a home delivery. So you can make a choice of the decision. Let's assume we are gonna choose both of them so that we have the largest market share, but we have not selected what is the market share that we are going to capture, right? That's a separate thing that we when we are doing our actual P&L model, then we will be able to select. Now that's one decision, correct? So we have selected our market. Now we are going to select our location. So make a new sheet. Every different distinct decision you want to make on different sheet, because you don't want to mess up the one sheet with a lot of information on it, because the format and the titles and the columns would be different. So let me ask you, is there any other question that you want to ask on this customer selection?
Yeah, Manish.
Yes.
Just need to understand that, yeah, why the market size, yes, sir, why the geography and the market size is a bit different altogether. So is that the geography is all about the research part, the number of people who have been surveyed,
Yeah, actually,
or how is it?
what you should be doing is, because the market size for physical stores will depend on the geography where you are in. So you cannot survey everybody, correct? So what you should be doing is you should select a sample. Let's say you are selecting 2% people or 1% people to work as a selected. So you may take, let's say you are working in I give you example, New Delhi. So you may be picking up some peoples from one town, one sub district, from east side, north side, south side, and northern side. You different colonies, and you will be selecting, okay, 5 people from here, 5 people from here, 5 people from here, so that it represents the entire Delhi population. and then you will be doing a survey for them to understand what are their pain points. Are they willing to pay? They like to have a home delivery, or they're gonna buy by themselves? So that is all the questions that you gonna ask them, and then you extrapolate that to the entire population. So if, let's say 2% or 10% of the people are saying yeah, they want to get it and they want to get it home delivered, then you will assume that 10% of the total population is going to be your potential market.
Okay.
Yeah, but you want to select quite the decent size of survey, not 10%. 10% I just said as an example, because if you are dealing with a population of 3 million, 4 million, then probably 1000 or 2000 people would be enough for extrapolating the information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you much.
Okay, so the next thing that you may want to do in your business is, now you're gonna select, okay, which location, after targeting the customers. Now you have two decisions to make. One is at what location you are going to put, at what kind of price you are going to charge. So let's look at them one by one. So let's say you want to select the location of your business. If you are going to deliver at your home, at the home delivery, then location choice may not be relevant, because you can deliver from anywhere to anywhere, correct? You don't have to do that. But if you are you're gonna have a physical store, your first store, then the location will be quite important for you. So let's look at an example that we are gonna open up. We have physical store and as well as a online store. So we're gonna choose how we make a location choice. So the question here we wanna solve is, at what location we will open the store. Some of the decisions you may have to take simultaneously. Some of the decisions you can take first and then the second. Like for example, in this decision there will be a couple of variables which should be decided in advance. For example, price. So I will assume the price for this at this point of time, but you may need to make a decision on the pricing first before you make a location choice. So let's look at the location. Now since we are at the location already, so what are the options? So the metric that we want to decide how we are going to choose the location is, the one is easy to access, that has not much of financial impact, so we will not look at that. Then most customers are coming there, and most profitable, right? So you can choose either of them, or you can say, okay, if my location is gonna get most customers, I will choose the location regardless of the profitability. Or if I say, yeah, I want only profitable location, don't care how many customers are come, because both of the variable to decide both of them is going to be different, right? So let's take an example. So what are the options that we have? So let's say there is an option, there is a mall somewhere. There can be different malls, so you can make a specific location. What kind of mall is that? There is an open market, where there are a lot of people are going for lunch and dinner. Let's say if I take an example of again New Delhi, so we are having a discussion that we may have a Gurgaon mall. You may want to have open in the, let's say, a Connaught Place, because Connaught Place is not a mall, it's an open market. And you wanna maybe another way is to select let's say Janakpuri as a district center, because Janakpuri is a residential complex. Dwarka is a residential complex, so you may want to select, okay, so you have three choices. One is residential, one is market, and the another is mall. So what do you want, how you want to make the decision? So let's say first thing you want to know is, what is the customer footfall there. total customer footfall, correct? So this data is again you may be having to find out from various sources. Sometimes the mall itself, the place itself, there are associations which are releasing this kind of data, that what is the daily footfall. Some marketing research companies have this data, so you may have to find this particular data from those research companies. Let's say Gurgaon mall, that particular mall is getting 200,000 people a day, right? Connaught Place, let's say there are around 10 lakh people per day. So is that gonna be 10 lakh? Yes. Another good thing in the financial model is you have to have a consistent way of doing numbers, and always try to do formatting as you go, so that you don't have to do it later and you don't get confused. For example, I'm always doing the number formatting, so that I make sure that I'm typing 10 lakhs or 1 lakh properly. Then let's say the total population which is living in Janakpuri is 20 lakh peoples. Yes. So since this is the total footfall, correct? So we know that now there's a total footfall, but total footfall is not important for us, right? So you have to think what is your market segment, right? What market segment you are going to choose. So our market segment is old age peoples, and our market segment is what is our next market segment? Is working professionals. Okay. Now we're gonna see how many peoples are going in each location. So let's say out of 200,000 is only 2% peoples which are going to old age peoples, and there are about 50%, or sorry, maybe, yeah, 40% of the peoples are going which are working professionals. Again, Connaught Place has a huge market in the location that you because it's a huge market. We may not be able to compare it apple to apple, but let's say there are old age peoples, quite a few, they are going there. Let's say 5% of the total peoples who are visiting are old age. Then you have working professionals, because it's a market. But you working professionals, there will be business peoples, there will be other official peoples. Let's say there are around 80% peoples which are working. Then you have residential complex. Oh, sorry, I made a small mistake. Total population is 4 million, and I am already choosing quite high as a complex. So let's revise these numbers, otherwise it's gonna be very strange. Let's say this is 5 lakh, and let's say there are about 6 lakh people living in the residential complex. The complex has only 50% 40% population as working professionals, 40%, and there are about 10% of them as old age people. So now you want to see in each market how many of them are related to your customer segment, right? So here is the one formula. Then you can copy this when you are copying, will remember that it will move away the calculation. Everybody, am I audible? Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah, just to make sure that because I'm only one way, so I have to make sure that everybody is understanding it. Okay, so when you copy the formula from one sheet to another, one cell to another cell, the reference is always changing. So if you see now, our reference has changed. So one formula is still okay, this is what we wanted, but this one has changed. So this is B10. So you want to fix the B10 formula, right? So the way to it has to be fixed at B9. So what you want to do is you want to fix it at B9 at the ninth cell. So you have to press Alt function key and F4. So once you press F4, you will see there is a dollar sign on both B and 9, but you don't want to fix B, because you will, once you copy the formula from B to C and D, you want to make it change. You want to fix only the ninth row. So you press one more time, and then you will see the dollar sign in front of 9 only. So this is what we want, and then you copy it, and then you can copy the formula, and then you copy this formula anywhere. It will select, it will keep on freeze the B9 and change the other cell reference. So now you have the total market. So let's say, okay, so this is the total market which is available to us in terms of our market size. So available market at this particular location. Now if let's say our decision is only based on the total market size only, then our decision will be what? Our decision will be that we select Connaught Place. But if we say our decision should be based on the most profitable, then is a different market, then is a different then we have to add more variables. So how you are going to, let's say your market, your contribution, your price, you're going to charge at $3. Fine, so market price is $3. Let's say the variable cost we have to assume, right? So market price is $3 here, is $3 here. Let's assume it's at $3 first, because the market price can be different at each location. And our variable cost of producing it only is about, let's say, 0.3 cents. So our contribution will be, minus 2.7 per piece. If we are able, so how many market we are able to capture, that's again another this is available market. So ability to capture. So now let's say if we are the only one in the Gurgaon Mall, and we know that their willingness to pay is how much? Their willingness to pay is 10%, right? So let's say 10% people will pay. So willingness to pay, again, it's a very different thing, because you have to apply the willingness to pay here for each market separately. Willingness to pay. So willingness to pay for old age people is 10%, and for working professional is 5%. So you can say, okay, let's put 10% here, and let's put 5% here. Now you can say willingness to pay for old age and working professionals will be old age into old age percentage, and then you will freeze F14, because you don't want F14 to go anywhere. And same way you wanna use working professionals into working professionals, and then you want to freeze it F15 so that it doesn't go anywhere. Now you get the total market, willing to your market. So you got total market at this size per day basis. Ability to capture will depend on how much is the options available. Let's say in the mall there is nobody else and you can capture it entirely. So this is your market. So let's say you're gonna capture 100%. In Connaught Place there may be different options because it's a huge market. So let's say you are able to capture only 20% of this market, or let's say 30% of this market, because there are other competitors. In residential, let's say you are only two of them, so let's say you're gonna capture 50%, right? So we are making these assumptions, so you have to validate these assumptions. So here is the market size. So So you have to, as we said in the previous, good thing to do, we always we always make the assumption for our assumptions, whatever assumptions we are making, right? Now we know our market price here, so the profitability is going to be derived by total revenue minus fixed cost minus variable cost equal to profit, right? So revenue minus variable cost minus fixed cost equals to our profit. So where our profit is maximum. Now here in this case we don't know our we don't know our revenue. We know our revenue now. We can calculate our revenue based on the available market size into your price. We got it, fine. We know our variable cost, market size into variable cost, fine. We got our daily market cost. Now what is the fixed cost? Fixed cost will be your rental and your labor. Labor would probably remain the same. The only differentiating factor will be the rental at different places. So let's say the mall is gonna charge you $2,000 rental. The Connaught Place is more expensive destination. Let's say it's gonna charge you 5,000, and the Janakpuri district is not very expensive, and you can open in a normal market, so it's gonna charge you, let's say, $1,000. So now you have a profit, correct? So now you got your profit, your maximum profit. So wherever it's the maximum, your decision will be there. So let's say our so you can rank, right? You can use a rank formula. So you can use a rank formula in your thing. So here you can see, okay, oops, yeah. So you can rank with reference to this multiple values, got it. Oops. So let's freeze this also so that we can reference this. Never mind, I think there will be some formula mistake, but you can see the rank here. So the rank definitely highest is the Janakpuri destination that we in the residential complex. So now we know our location as well, which location we wanna you open our thing. Any questions on this? Anything that you want to ask or have any comment from your experiences? You can comment or you can put into chat. Okay, so how else you make a decision on the location? If you have been making any decisions, what else you think you want to make a choice? Definitely there are other qualitative factors, which, for example, the accessibility of the place for employees, accessibility of the place for the market logistics. So we have not taken a lot of other factors into our account. For example, electricity charges, for example, the restrictions on operations. So maybe RWAs may not allow you to run for entire day, or the Connaught Place market is closed at 7 p.m. and at what time you will be able to serve. So we have not taken these into account, but definitely we can take these into account when we are doing a real business, because since we have not done we are not doing a real business here, and we don't have enough data for making the assumptions, so we are not taking those into account. But you can take those accounts when you are going to choose this into your decision. So here is something very interesting for those who are interested in doing an assignment. So what I would like you to do, all of you, is whoever want to do that particular assignment, you have to make a assumption, make a case study, think of any business that you want to do, and then fill up the start preparing the model for different decisions as we are doing. So we are learning a lot of different decisions based on different variables. So I hope this will be helpful for you guys. So now let's look at the pricing decision or the costing decisions, that how we make those decisions. So here we assume $3 and $0.3, correct? But we may not need to assume them. We may need to make a proper assumption for this. Just hang on. So pricing decision. So now our decision is need to be on a pricing. What price I need to charge from customers. So now here is the decision that we have to make based on the price. So what are the matrices? How I will decide my decision is correct or not correct? So it needs to fit into the ability to pay, fit into the budget of customer. Sorry. It needs to be recover my cost and investment. It need to have a distinct position as a position among the customers and the value. So now these are the matrices. So we're gonna make the decision based on the, so you may want to have a different options, right? So what are the options that, so first thing we need to know is the product. Let's we are assuming we only have one product, we don't have multiple products. For assignment you need to do, yeah, so for assignments what you need to do is you need to think of a sample business, as we are thinking for cafe business. So you can think of any other business, or you can think of this business itself, and you may want to do a bit of more research in wherever city, wherever location that you are living in, and you may want to do these models as we are doing for yourself. So that will help you to understand it more. So what are the, so we have to make decisions based on, so how we are going to make our decisions. So we have one is so we are assuming we have only one product here for the time being, but you can do it for multiple products as you wish. So you have three things to consider. Normally we have three things to consider when we are doing pricing. One is customer prices, if we have anything, our internal cost of producing, and then you have the price should be able to complete your return on investment, right? So let's look at them one by one. Since we have only one product, so it's gonna be easy, not that very difficult for us. So let's say we're gonna do the customer prices, sorry, not customer prices, competitor prices. So now competitor prices are not comparable apple to apple, because the product might be different, right? So you have to understand how what is the value proposition that your customer is giving, and how much they are charging, and how much you can charge. Let's say the customer is a similar product that they are giving in at for, let's say, $2. So their price is $2, and now you want to see how much you want to charge. So you have to think what are the plus points for which you can charge something extra, and what are the negative points from the compared to the customer. So let's say you say is a better taste. Why? How you can decide the better taste? Maybe you can say you have done a research, and you have done a sample survey, or you have asked you have bought some, let's say, 10 portions of your competitor, and given to some of your customers to taste your product compared to the competitors, and now you say you have a better product, or you have done it by yourself and now you say it's a better taste. So you can charge, let's say, 10% more, right? 10% extra. So how much is the 10% of 2? The 10% of 2 is 0.2. So, and then you are sorry, here, yeah. So now you are in a better taste. So what else you are doing? So you are maybe using organic and fresh and hygienic fruits compared to ingredients compared to your competitors. So you can say I am more hygienic or organic, so I can charge definitely another 10% for it. So that 10% itself is gonna give me additional $2. Now the negative points is maybe your competitor is already established, you are now starting, so I am a latecomer. So how much penalty you want to put for yourself? So you have to make an assumption. Let's say you want to put 5% penalty for that. Okay, so you can say minus 5%. And so on and so forth. You can make different points. So you have to compare the strength and weaknesses of your product compared to your competitor product, and then come up with the reasonable price. So once you total it up together, add it up, and then you say your reasonable price. Now this is anchor price. This is it is not a scientific price, because you have done a lot of assumptions here. These are all your assumptions. So you identified, okay, what are my assumptions here, how do I make those assumptions. Again, you can write down in your assumption template. So now this is your formula. So these are the reasonable price that you want to charge. So you may try at this price and then adjust your price as you go along, because you may want to run experiments. So now you want to compare this with the cost of producing. So how do you know the cost of producing? So you have to run the ingredients. So you have to list down all the ingredients that you have in your product. So you may write down, I'm using the herbs, I'm using the fruits, I'm using so these are the main ingredients. I'm using water, using so whatever it is, and then how many grams I'm using it, what is the cost per gram or per kilogram, and what is my unit cost. Right, so you can fill that up, and then you will be able to make a formula. Okay, let's say you are using 10 gram of per, and then this cost $10 per kilo. So sorry, 100 grams maybe or maybe 50 grams. So this is per kilo, so divide by 1000, multiply by your number of grams, right? So you're gonna get this one. Maybe 10 grams is enough. right? Filled fruits, you are, let's say you are different fruits, so you can have multiple fruits. Maybe some fruits are per kilo, some fruits are per piece, some fruits are by the piece, yeah, by the piece or by kilo. So let's assume you are using one fruit only and you're going to use 200 grams of it, and there is a milk. If you are using milk, then let's say the water is free anyways, or even if you are using maybe mineral water, so that the cost is $2 per kilogram. So let's say now you this divide by 1000 into grams. So now here you got it, and then you're gonna use the water is, let's say you are using a mineral water which you have to pay. So let's say you are using 100 grams of water, and the cost of water is, let's say, 0.5 per gram. So it's gonna be same calculation. Milk, you're gonna use 100 grams of milk into this, and then you are using, let's say the milk cost $1 per gram. The cost is this much. So total is here. So you get this total for now. This is not maybe you are making able, you are able to make 2 or 3 portions from here. Let's say you are making able to make 2 portions from this. So this is the cost of production. But when if you are from the same industry, you will be able to understand that you cannot have exact measurement, right? You may have different measurement, which means that it may lead that you may have some wastage, right? And market, so wastage, so you need to make a factor for wastage. You may need to make a factor for market price change. You may need to make a factor for spoilage into your product. So now let's say I make a factor for 10% for wastage. So you can make this bit here, so you have, yes, into 10%, and then you have market price changes. Let's say you want to make 5%, 10% allowance for market price, 5% allowance for spoilage, sorry, the here into this, then into this. So total you got now the total cost of production. Sorry, this one we can move down. Total, this is for 2 portions, right? So you can write down here this you can write down cost of producing 2 portions, so that you are clear here. Otherwise you may forget later on why did you divide by 2. So per portion you can divide by 2, so you get per portion cost, which is, you can make it as a comma formatting so that it's clearer. Otherwise you may get confused later on. Now this is your cost. When you are selling any product, you have to include the taxes as well, right? So here is so this is the variable cost. So clearly we are able to recover from our variable cost. So how we normally make as per the industry. So you have to take what is the average industry food cost. So industry cost, industry benchmark for profitability. Let's say industry makes a gross profit of, let's say, 65%. I am telling you because I am from the hospitality industry, so I have an experience with that. But you may have to find out by looking at the related market, or doing some asking the other industry experts. So the optimal price you want to charge based on the industry standard is this divide by profitability percentage. Sorry, what did I do? D1 divided by D32. sorry, if the profit is 65% of the, oh sorry, yeah, 1 minus, so minimum you need to charge 1.16, but this is the optimal price. Now competitor is already charging $2, so you don't, there's no need for you to charge less, but unless you want to attract a very good market. Another way to look at it is how much is your return on investment that you need. So let's say you have to open up this factory. The total cost of investment is let's say you're gonna spend $20,000 on this. And then you will be you will need to recover this investment in 2 years or 1 year time. So you need, how much you need per month and how many people you're gonna get. So let's say at this let's say you want to charge $2 for example. So variable cost will be, so here you can have different options. So price of $2, $2.5, and or maybe $1.5, as we see here, $1.5. So sorry, yeah, then the cost is remain fixed, remain same, it doesn't change, right? So we can say okay, the cost is this, then the contribution margin is 2 minus this. Now this is your, so our monthly profit, our monthly customers in our previous version we got was, oh sorry, where is the location here? So our, let's say we decide to open at this location and we are gonna get 9,000 customers per month. So our customers, we are going to get, let's say 9,000 let's say 900 per month at this price, or 2.5 we get 900 1000, here is 1000, here get let's say 900 at this price, and then at this 1.5 price maybe we get 2000 customers. So how much is our profit, gross profit that we are going to make? So our profit is going to be, this is the what the profit that we're gonna make per month, your annual profit. So your return on investment is how many months, payback period is 12 months, based on this price is, sorry, so as you can see, even I'm charging less price because of my because of more customers are gonna come, my payback period is going to be faster. So this is one way how you can make a decision. Yeah, so we just have to adjust a little bit and then do a bit of formatting so that we can price point here. So this is how you're gonna do the modeling of your prices. So this is the key decision that we have learned today. The rest of the financial model we're gonna be learning tomorrow. So is there any other question or other thing that you may wanna add or suggest on how we